Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. So I hope y'all are ready for a long story. This is actually going to be a two-part series video, and if you follow me on Instagram, then you already know that I'm doing the Scott and Laci Peterson case. I was supposed to have this up yesterday per my last video, like I said, but you guys, I'm dealing with a sick 5-year-old and a sick 5-year-old. And also, I was not feeling the greatest yesterday. Like, I could not move off the couch, and I'm an Aries, very active, so that is very unlike me. And I just felt like crap yesterday, so I could not physically bring myself to come on camera and speak, much less sit up. So I'm sorry that if I disappointed anybody out there about not uploading yesterday, but here we are. I'm uploading this and editing it on the same day, so it will be up, and tomorrow part 2 will be up, and part 2 will be up tomorrow, Saturday. So make sure y'all stay tuned. But I'm sure y'all already know. If you haven't heard of this case, I don't know, maybe you forgot some details, or maybe you just don't remember because it was like over 18 years ago, or about 18 years ago. But this is the Scott Peterson case. Now, I'm mainly going to be focusing on Laci and like the disappearance and what happened. I'm not going to go into like Scott's background or anything. It'll be more into Laci's background because I want to remember Laci here. So again, this case back in 2002, it was widely talked about. It's still pretty much talked about to this day because of some current situations going on. That will be in part 2 of this video, but it's crazy. And I was in, I want to say high school when this all happened with Scott and Laci, and it captivated me. I watched all the movies that came out on it, the documentaries, the news. It was on all the magazines. Everybody was talking about it. Nancy Grace, everybody was talking about Scott Peterson and how his wife, who was 8 months pregnant, went missing. Does this sound familiar, you guys? Does this sound like the Chris Watts case? Okay. If you have heard about this case, maybe you just want to watch this video. You know, you want to find out about what is happening now. They had a trial today, November 6th. So that will be out tomorrow, what happened at that trial. So y'all stay tuned. And we're going to start from the beginning. So buckle up and get ready for the ride. Grab a coffee or water. I already drank some coffee today, so I got a water. Oh, and by the way, hi, hello. Welcome to my channel if you are new. My name is Mallori, and this is Crime Time with Mal. You can call me Mal, Mallori, whatever you would like. But I hope you enjoyed today's video. I do true crime videos here on this channel, missing person and unsolved mostly, because I popped my knuckle. Did y'all hear that? But I really want to get the word out to spread awareness about missing people and unsolved cases. But once a month, I do throw in a solved or ongoing case. If you like this video, please don't forget it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I see a lot of y'all are not subscribed, so what you doing? Just subscribe. It's free. It's free. And I'll grow on you. Don't worry. I will. Either you love me or you hate me. So there's no really in between, but you should like me because I'm a cool chick in my opinion. So as always, please be nice down in the comments below. Don't be mean to anybody or talk crap about anybody I mentioned in this case. You can give your opinion, just don't be rude. If you are rude or you're nasty or anything, I'll just delete it, okay? So the love here on this channel is way, way, way more than the rude, nasty people. So that just comes along with the territory, but I don't have to put up with it, so it will be deleted. And thank you so much to everybody that is watching this video. I appreciate y'all more than you know. So I'm gonna stop rambling and let's get on into this video. Laci was born as Laci Rocha on May 4th, 1975 to parents Sharon and Dennis Rocha, who were high school sweethearts. Laci had an older brother named Brent who was born in 1971, and they lived on a dairy farm just west of Escalon, California. Laci and her brother started working on the farm very young in life, and she loved gardening with her mom, and later on this gave her just a love for plants. She loved plants. And Sharon and Dennis ended up divorcing when Laci was very young, and Sharon took the kids to move to Modesto, California. But the kids still came and visited the farm every weekend and hung out with their dad and worked on the farm. Sharon remarried a guy named Ron Gransky, who helped raise Laci and Brent. Dennis also remarried and gained a stepson named Nathan, and then him and his second wife then had a daughter named Amy together. Laci was a cheerleader in middle school and high school, and after she graduated Thomas Downey High School, she attended California Polytechnic State University. Laci had a friend that worked at a restaurant, and she would sometimes go there to hang out and eat, and it was in the Morro Bay area called Pacific Cafe. And there she met her friend's coworker, Scott, in 1994. And Laci was actually the one making the first moves on Scott. She gave Scott her number, and he didn't actually call, I believe, for a while. And then she gave her number again to him, and he eventually ended up calling Laci and asked her out on a date. So their first date, they went deep sea fishing, and Laci ended up getting super seasick and they went home. But Laci just knew that she met the man she was going to marry, and that is exactly what she told her mom, Sharon. She immediately told her, "Mom, I just met the man I'm going to marry. He is amazing. He was super sweet to her, you know, wooed her, did all the things, buying her flowers." Y'all know. And as their relationship grew, Scott then put aside his dreams to become a professional golfer in order to focus more on a business path. The couple dated for about 2 years and then moved in together. Scott finished his senior year, and Laci took a job nearby in Prunedale. And this is when prosecutors stated that Scott had his first of multiple affairs. After Laci graduated, the two then got married at Sycamore Lewis Springs Resort in San Luis on August 9th, 1997. And in June 1998, Scott graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in agricultural business. After they both graduated, they then opened a sports bar in San Luis Obispo. You guys, I am not from California, nor am I anywhere near it, so please forgive me on the stupidity level of that. But their bar was called The Shack. They sold The Shack around 2000 and moved to Laci's hometown of Modesto to start a family and build their life together. In October of 2000, the two married couple then bought their first home together, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house bungalow for $177,000 on Covina Avenue in an upscale neighborhood near La Loma Park. Laci then took a job as a substitute teacher, and Scott got a job where he was on the road a lot, and it was at a newly funded European fertilizer company called Trade Corp USA. Laci's younger sister and mom said that Laci already loved to be a homemaker. She loved cooking, she loved preparing food for the holidays, and loved to entertain, and everybody was just so over the moon that Laci was finally pregnant, because they did struggle to get pregnant. So Laci got pregnant in 2002, and her and Scott's baby's due date was February 10th, 2003. And the couple planned to name their sweet baby boy Connor. But in their second trimester, that all changed. On December 23rd, 2002, at 5:45 p.m., Laci and Scott went to Amy's work. Amy is, remember, Laci's sister. Same dad, different mom. She worked at a haircutting place called Salon, and Scott would often go there to get his haircut from her. Scott offered to pick up a fruit basket from Amy for her grandfather because Scott was playing golf in the nearby area and said that he would gladly drop it off to him. Scott also told others he was playing golf on Christmas Eve. Sharon, Laci's mom, said that she last spoke with Laci on the phone around 8:30 p.m. that evening. But Scott told the police that he last saw Laci on Christmas Eve morning, December 24th at 9:30 a.m. when he left to go fishing at Berkeley Marina. And that is in around the San Francisco Bay Area. Sharon, Laci's mom, said that Laci and them were supposed to have Christmas Eve dinner, and Laci was supposed to be preparing all this food. And Scott called Laci's mom around 6:15 p.m. that night and said Laci was missing. Laci's captivating smile. She is 8 months pregnant with their first baby boy and their first child. It's Christmas Eve, it's December, and it's cold. Where is she? So Sharon told Scott to check with Laci's friends, their neighbors, to see if anybody heard from Laci. Scott said that he did, and nobody's heard from her. So a little concerned, Sharon and Ron, her second husband, drove to their house, and Ron, Sharon's boyfriend, called 911. Scott told Sharon that when he came home, he found their dog's leash and went to the park because that's where Laci was last walking the dog. So her mom was then frantic. By the way, they were at the park at this point. So her mom was frantic. She was looking through trash cans, screaming Laci's name out, and no response. Laci's friends spent early that Christmas making missing flyers for Laci to put out. And then pretty soon after that, the whole entire town and police station was searching for pregnant Laci. They did a grid search of the whole park, and Laci was just not somebody that walked away. This was, you know, out of her character. January 2003, so a few days after Laci went missing, a $500,000 reward was up for anybody that knew any information on Laci. Sharon, her ex-husband Dennis, and Ron all went on TV and pleaded for Laci's safe return. They just begged and pleaded. And these break my heart every time I watch them, every time. A neighbor did say that they saw Laci's dog walking around the park later that day, so people started questioning, was it a kidnapping? And just around the time of Laci's disappearance, across the street from them, there was a burglary from a house. I can never say that word. Oh my God. So then another reward was put into place of $1,000 for anybody that knew any information on the men that did that burglary at that house. And not long later, 2 men were arrested and did a TV interview and said that they had nothing to do with it and they had no idea who Laci was. And then eventually law enforcement agreed and said that just those two are not connected, and moved on. So behind the scenes, Scott was helping search for Laci. He wasn't actually physically going out there to search for Laci, but behind the scenes he was. And apparently he was so devastated about Laci's disappearance, which I'm not saying he wasn't, that he did not want to be in front of the media and be like their spokesperson. Scott was pulled in for questioning, of course, because we all know when somebody goes missing, the spouse is the first to be questioned. So Scott was pulled into questioning, and they were surprised by how calm Scott was. And I'm not gonna put any like 911 calls or videos in this video. I'll put like pictures and stuff, but that's it. I'm not gonna, y'all can search everywhere on YouTube and find these interviews and 911 calls and anything you need to know on this case. There's tons of videos out there that have all that. But I do agree, he was really calm for somebody that their wife that is 8 months pregnant missing. So Scott said that he woke up, had cereal for breakfast. He also agreed not to speak with a lawyer at this time of questioning from law enforcement. So after his cereal, he was gonna go to the store to buy some stuff for Christmas morning breakfast because Laci always made Christmas morning breakfast. Scott said it would take her a while to prep the breakfast because it's very involved and it will basically take her all day long to cook. So he needed to hurry up and go to the store before he went golfing or fishing that day. And she was also gonna make gingerbread cookies, so he was getting stuff for that as well. So he was either gonna go fishing or golfing, he said, but he realized it was just really cold to go golfing, so he decided to go fishing instead. Which to me, that doesn't make sense. They're both outdoor activities, and you're either gonna be outside golfing or you're gonna be outside in a boat fishing. He then said he drove to his warehouse, which is where he just bought his boat, and he was keeping his boat. And his warehouse is just a few miles away also, so, okay. He said that he had a mortarizer, and he just bought a mortarizer, and the detective said, "What is that?" He said, "It's a tool that you can make tables with." So he just got that, and he was assembling it together. He checked his email, responded to one email, then hooked his boat up and went to go fishing. He then got to the San Francisco Bay Area, parked his car, loaded his boat into the water, and took off. He drove about a couple of miles north to a little island there that was filled with trash, and there was actually a sign on it that said "No landing." He said it looked like there was some broken piers in the area, and he assumed that it was just a shallow area and basically just wanted to get out on the water and drive around. The detective said that he wouldn't even tell him what bait he was using to go fishing. He didn't know what kind of lures he had. He didn't know what kind of fish he was actually trying to catch. And mind you, he just bought that boat days before, and the detective learns that he just bought a fishing license too. So notice I said he just bought a fishing license. Well, he told detectives that this whole fishing trip was just like a last minute decision, but he was going fishing, but then he was just going to ride around in the San Fran Bay area. And Scott did show the detective that a parking receipt that he was at the parking lot at Berkeley Marina, but he said that he just wasn't having any luck, wasn't catching anything, and he left and arrived back at his home in Modesto around 4:30. And that's when he found the dog with the leash attached to it, and the back door was unlocked, but Laci was nowhere to be found. Scott, now, nowhere to be found. Your dog has a leash on it. Your wife is gone, not in the house, nowhere. 8 months pregnant. Okay, so then Scott says that he is going to make some pizza. Well, he was calling for Laci, and Laci wasn't answering, so he just, assumed that she already went to her mom's house. He took a shower, got dressed after he ate some pizza, and the detective did say that Scott answered all of his questions, but he did not elaborate on anything and was not emotional. He just seemed emotionless. And if y'all know and y'all have seen those, he is very emotionless. Like, he doesn't seem worried about where his wife is. So Scott said that he was concerned, but took a shower, he washed his clothes, he ate his pizza, and then he called Laci's mom to see if Laci was there. Scott had no questions for law enforcement, like what they were doing, where they were looking, if they had any leads, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't know, I would have questions. I feel like I want to know what they're doing. How can I help? Do I need to do anything? You know what I mean? Like, what shouldn't I do? A week after Laci disappeared, everybody came together and held a vigil for Laci. They lit candles, prayed, people were crying, and even Scott was there. But he was avoiding Laci's family. And Sharon said that he did see Scott on the phone and just thought that was kind of weird. Then after all this, Laci's mom, Sharon, started questioning to herself silently, like putting the pieces together, how Scott was acting, and just kind of piecing everything in, call it mother's intuition or something, but she was just piecing it all in her head and not saying it out loud, just because she did not want to go there, really. She did not want to go there. This is her son-in-law. She loved him. They stood by Scott. They believed him. They, didn't have any doubt that he did this. They had no doubt that, Scott was innocent, and they stood by his side. So she did not want to speak that out loud yet. But investigators did have a suspicion on Scott, and they were going to figure this out. Scott said that Laci knew that Scott just bought this boat, and you know, she was fine with it, but her family, everybody, like, had no clue that this boat was around. And it's a very little boat. It's like a John boat. I don't know. That's what we call them in the South. So the detective asked Scott to take him to this boat, which was at the warehouse. And this was late at night, so it was really dark outside. The detective noticed that the storage shed is just a very private area, so anybody could really sneak anything back there. And I do not believe there was cameras either. But when they got there, Scott said that, you know, there was no lights, which the detective later on figured out that that was a lie, that there are lights in there. But Scott put his headlights in, like, shining into the storage unit so that the detective could see in there. The detective then tapped Scott's phone, put a GPS on his car, and they were watching him very closely. But they noticed that Scott was watching them back. They noticed that sometimes they would be staring at him, and he would look at them and just come over and start having a conversation with them, like, I know you're here. I'm watching you too, don't you worry. 16 days after Laci's disappearance, searchers in the Bay Area from sonar detection found something in the water that they thought was a body. But Sharon called to tell Scott that it was just a boat anchor and it was not Laci. And in the background of this call, because it's tapped, you hear Scott whistle, and y'all, I cannot whistle, but it was like a whew, like, thank God, like relieved type whistle, like, whew, dodged that bullet almost. You know what I mean? I don't know. It was weird. Scott said that him and Laci had a great marriage. They weren't fighting or arguing about anything. Scott had no prior convictions, no arrests made, no nothing. He seemed like the perfect husband. He was handsome. He had a great job. Like, he just seemed great until he met Amber Frey. Amber Frey was a massage therapist 100 miles away in Fresno, California. One of her friends told her about Scott, and they went on their first date around late November. Amber said he bonded with her little girl, and she absolutely loved Scott. Scott would bring them flowers. They would go on picnics. He just, you know, did that wooing thing again. He wooed them hard. He knew what to say. He knew what to do. And a lot of narcissistic, crazy people, sadly, I've had one of those in my life. Guys like that, and girls can do it too, but they will find something, and they're not dumb. They know what to say to woo somebody. They know what to say to make somebody quiver at the knees. You know what I mean? Like, they know what they're doing. But he would buy them gifts. He went and bought groceries for them and would drop them off at the house. He made dinner. He left Amber sweet voicemails, and things were going great. And Amber said she had no clue that he had a wife who was let alone pregnant. In early December, Scott called on Amber, worried, concerned, said he wasn't being honest, and he was married, but he just lost his wife. He was crying, he was super emotional, and he was like, this is my first holiday without my wife, and I'm sorry, I'm just, you know, really upset. And then Scott gave Amber a new cell phone number and said to call on this number, that he was going to Europe and she could reach him on this number if he still wanted a relationship. And Amber, you know, was like, yes, of course. She said that she felt bad for him, you know, she just felt really bad, and that this was gonna be his first holiday. So she got the new number and she continued the relationship with him. December 14th, Amber and Scott went to, you know, this famous Christmas party with Amber and her friends. And that same night, actually, Laci was at a Christmas party by herself, and there was a picture taken of her on a chair holding her belly in the corner, and she just looked so beautiful. But that picture honestly kind of breaks my heart, you guys, because she's just there alone at a Christmas party without her husband, and her husband, not knowing to her, is at a Christmas party with another chick. So then around the end of December, Amber's friend called Amber and said, I'm coming over. You have got to read this article. So on December 29th, if y'all know this, this is just mind blowing to me. This raised a lot of suspicions in my head, and I'm sure in a lot of people's mind. But on December 29th, Scott told Amber he left for Europe 2 days earlier. So she said that the article was kind of vague, that, you know, there wasn't really a picture, but his name was in there, and it talked about a pregnant wife going missing. And so she called 911 dispatch and asked them questions. She wanted to know if this Scott Peterson was the same as her Scott Peterson. And they confirmed it is the same guy. She called back that next day, and the detective that was actually on the missing person case for Laci was behind the desk from the person, the dispatcher that answered the phone. So the detective was like, oh shit, I need to listen in on this call too. And Amber told them everything. How he was actually in Europe at this moment. Even called her from a payphone to make it look like he was in Europe. Amber said that he manipulated her and lied to her this whole entire time. And there are men out there, men and women out there, that are like that. So everybody is so quick to like blame the mistress and say, oh, he was married and you did it, you're a home wrecker, blah, blah, blah. And you guys, it's not always the mistress's fault. Sometimes they legitly don't know. Sometimes the guys paint this picture that is not true. So police started recording Amber and Scott's phone calls. So then Scott calls Amber actually and says, hey, I'll be in Paris tomorrow for the next 8 days. And at that time, Amber was then officially helping the police. While they're still searching for Laci, Scott calls Amber on New Year's Eve, and the phone is cutting in and out, like it's really hard to hear. But again, if you haven't heard the recording, y'all should go find it because it's so crazy. But he called Amber and said that he could barely hear Amber because he was at the bottom of the Eiffel Tower and it was packed and it was beautiful. He was ranting and raving how beautiful it was, but he was not in Paris. He was not in the Eiffel Tower. He was at his missing wife's vigil. You know, that vigil where they all held, I cannot even believe it. So you've got this man missing his pregnant wife, calling his mistress, or I'm sorry, calling his girlfriend, saying that he's in Europe. There is a huge red flag there for those of y'all that think that Scott isn't guilty. And that was when Sharon, Laci's mom, saw Scott on the phone. He was actually talking to his girlfriend while his friends and family are there praying for the safe return of Laci and their unborn child. He even called to calculate the time difference. Like, he calculated the time difference and called Amber. He was just sweet talking Amber, saying how amazing and special she is. Meanwhile, he had no idea that the detectives are listening on the other end. And this then gave detectives a motive. They then had a motive of why he wanted to get rid of his wife so he could start a new life with his new girlfriend. So the detectives called Scott down for questioning into the department and printed off a picture, that famous picture at the Christmas party of him and Amber. And he sees it and he says, that's not me. So, you know, they talk. Cops have no really reason to hold Scott at this point. And Scott calls Amber again. Phone calls are tapped, and Scott starts testing Amber, asking Amber if she heard about the bomb going off in Paris, asking about the monarch butterflies, and Amber starts putting together that these are things that are happening in Paris right at this moment. So then it's kind of seeing if she's watching the news, reading the newspapers, you know, trying to see if she's working with the police, because he has no idea how they got this picture. January 6th, 13 days later, Scott says to Amber, you haven't obviously been watching the news, and that he was not traveling the last couple of weeks. He told her, the girl I'm married to disappeared right before Christmas, and for the past 2 weeks, he has been in Modesto with her family and friends searching for his missing wife. He said she just disappeared and nobody knows where she is. So at this point, Scott still has no idea about this tap going on, and Amber says, well, I thought you said earlier in December that you lost your wife. Scott said, honey, she's alive. And Amber said, what? She said, alive. And Amber just goes off on Scott, saying that he lied to her. And he's just like trying to diffuse the situation, saying, honey, just calm down. I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight. Trying to defend himself, saying that he never said that it was a tragedy or that she even went missing. She said, yes, you did again. And he said, I mean, I did lose my wife. And she said, how did you lose your wife before she was lost? He said it was a different kind of lost. So after this vigil, Sharon, Laci's mom, asked Scott how he was doing, and he was like, you know, I'm doing okay. And she just thought that was weird, like, you're doing okay? So after this, law enforcement put out this picture of his truck and his boat to kind of like verify his alibi, to see if anybody saw that on Christmas Eve, saw his boat or truck on Christmas Eve. They expanded the search for Laci and then actually told Sharon over the phone about Amber. And I believe they showed her a picture of Amber and Scott, and Sharon said that she felt absolutely sick to her stomach. And they decided to show Sharon this picture because the media had gotten a hold of it and rumors were starting to circulate. Local news and national tabloids showed up at Amber's work. And then detectives decided to make a statement on their terms before more rumors got spread any further. And this blew up. Amber being in front of this press conference completely blew up, and it made national news. Everybody was talking about it. Everybody was questioning. It now gave, of course, Scott, like I said, a motive, and everybody was just blindsided by Amber's statement. She spoke just over a minute, and now everybody knows. And Scott knew. But what was weird, Scott continued to call Amber. And he even said on a phone call that, you know, she was so brave and he's so proud of her, and that just showed what an amazing character Amber had. And law enforcement learned that the same day the same day Scott told Amber about his wife was actually the same day that Scott bought his boat. Now people were thinking, law enforcement was thinking this was premeditation. So now that Amber spoke out, people were starting to come forward about stuff that they remembered about Scott. Like how he told some people that he was hoping for infertility. He wasn't ready to be a father. He was in a midlife crisis, even though he was only 30 years old. And then people that knew Laci started to think back to when Laci walked her dog that day. And they thought that Laci would be honestly too tired to walk her dog because she was 8 months pregnant. She was so close to her due date. And also how weird Scott was acting around those days. And currently, people were starting to put the pieces together. And he would never even look Laci's family in the eye, is what Sharon, Laci's mom, said. So that same day, Amber told the world about her and Scott. Laci's mom, Sharon, did a press conference as well. Then she was, begging for Laci's safe arrival and just, again, hoping for the safe return of her daughter and her grandson. Scott also told Amber that he was going to do a press conference and he wants maximum coverage on it. Scott claimed that Laci knew about Scott's affair, and then now that people that believe Scott did not believe Scott anymore. Also, it is to be noted that a week after Laci went missing, Scott wanted to sell the house. He sold Laci's car. Concrete dust was also found in Scott's warehouse, and it looked like the concrete dust was from 5 anchors that were being made, but only one of those anchors were found. And even though Scott said he went fishing last minute, sea charts and maps and tide currents of the San Francisco Bay Area were found on Scott's computer search. And that was early December. He also said that he spent time at his warehouse the day that Laci disappeared. And remember how I said that law enforcement noticed that it was very secluded back there? So by this point, media is swarming around Scott's house. This is a huge, huge, big profile case. Huge, big, same thing. And, you know, social media wasn't around like it is now. So the press and the paparazzi and everything were really bad, and they were just swarming his house. And by February 19th, Amber told Scott to stop calling her. April 13th, 2003, there was a big storm that day, and Sharon said that she just felt something was off and she felt something wasn't right. So she locked herself inside her house that day and did basically nothing when friends and family showed up to Sharon's door. So when the tide was low, somebody spotted something in the water on the shore and they called in officials, and officials came in, and that is when they found a baby on the shore washed up. A few days later, I think like a day or two, they found then a torso of a female washed up on shore as well. But the bodies were so badly decomposed because of them being in water for so long that they just couldn't be identified, and they couldn't actually determine the cause of death, but they did eventually identify them as Laci and baby Connor. And at this point, Sharon is absolutely shocked. So Sharon was actually shocked that the bodies came up right in the area that Scott was fishing. Yes, in the same area Scott said he was fishing. Police kept an eye on Scott until the lab results came back, and on April 18th, 2003, at 7 a.m., Scott decided to play a little game of cat and mouse with law enforcement. 8 helicopters, I believe, lost him because he was driving so fast and so erratic. He would go over 3 lanes of traffic to go over off of it at exit. He was flipping off people. He was just being a jerk and driving crazy. He led them on for at least a couple of hours, if not longer, and over 160 miles. It's like OJ all over again. But law enforcement then, I guess, decided to put their lights on because they said it was getting way too dangerous, and he did pull over. They found a bunch of things in his car that showed like he was trying to take off to Mexico, and they also found camping gear. His hair was changed to blonde, along with 4 cell phones, his brother's driver's license, and $15,000 in cash, and I believe a fly in the South, and I think a few other things. And then Scott asked law enforcement, the detective that pulled him over, if the bodies that were found were his wife's and his son's. And then the detective looked at him and said, I think you know the answer to that. As they all drove back to Modesto, the detective got confirmation that the DNA matched Laci and Connor. He tells Scott, but he didn't see Scott's reaction because he was wearing sunglasses, but he decides to stop and get something to eat. But he would assume that he doesn't want to eat, but Scott requested a double with cheese, a small fry, and a vanilla shake. Scott got booked when they got back, and Scott's mom still says, basically his whole family still says to this day, that Scott is innocent. His sister-in-law even said recently, like, people think that this crime is solved, but it's not. So, do y'all think it was the burglary? Do you think it was Scott? I want to know y'all's opinions down below. Please let me know your opinion down below. So they requested a change of venue for this court appearing because it was so publicized in the media, and the courthouse was just constantly swarmed with the press, and they wanted their jury, I guess, not to be familiar with the case. But when there was like billboards all over saying like he's a murderer and all kind of stuff, murder, innocent, like everywhere. So they changed the venue to a different location. And when they arrived at that place, that courthouse, there was billboards again. So a lot of the people were actually stressed that they would have to change places again, and they didn't want to, but they didn't end up changing, and they proceeded with court there. June 1st, 2004, Scott Peterson stands trial. Photos are shown, photos of him and Amber are shown. The picture of Amber and Scott at the famous Christmas party is shown. And then right after that, the picture of Laci is shown alone in the chair. And now, knowing what we know now, it really does break your heart. And if it doesn't, what in the world? And the prosecutor said, you know, Scott wanted a different life. He didn't want to be married. He didn't want a kid. He wanted to have fun and go party and have his new girlfriend. And he just did not want to settle down. He changed his life and he wasn't happy. And they pretty much said that Amber was manipulated by him. Now, Scott was known by this time to be the most hated man in America. Media was hounding him every day. There was protests going on in his house. You murdered your son and your wife. And again, Scott told Good Morning America that he told Laci about his relationship. And Laci was okay with it. And what? Laci was okay with it? I'm sorry. I am sorry. But if I am, even now, no, I'm not going to be okay with that. But especially 8 months pregnant, all those hormones going through you and all the things that go through your head, like, my heart goes out to her. And it reminds me so much of Chris Watts. But then when Scott was asked about a statement that was made by a neighbor of Scott loading something strange into his vehicle that day, he then said, if you don't stop with these questions, I will have to leave the interview. And it honestly just seems to everybody that when Laci got pregnant with Connor, stuff started to go downhill. Their relationship just started to go down. Detectives think that on December 23rd, that night, or the morning of Christmas Eve, December 24th, Scott Peterson strangled his pregnant wife, Laci, loaded her body in the truck, and drove to his warehouse, attached the anchors, put her in the boat, and then drove off and dumped her body into the San Francisco Bay Area. Cadaver dogs have sniffed out this area and alerted law enforcement multiple times in that area. Could be there. They also sniffed a trail that was leading to the water, but then it stopped. And also, this was only about a mile from where the bodies washed up. On November 2nd, 2004, Scott Peterson, 31 years old, was convicted of first-degree murder of his wife, Laci Peterson, and second-degree murder of his unborn child, Connor Peterson. And then 1 month later, the jury came back and sentenced Scott to death. And he has been on death row ever since. Now, what is crazy is this is where I'm gonna end this video, but I actually had to go pick up my child. So when I come back, I will finish part 2 of this video and upload it tomorrow morning. So y'all stay tuned. Do not miss out on that video. That video is just gonna basically cover up what is happening currently with Scott. So he is not on death row. Is he on death row? He went back to court today. So what was said? What's going on? If you don't know, or if you want to find out more, then stay tuned for my next video, okay? Because it's gonna be a good one. And I put a lot of time in these videos, so please, I would love it more than anything if you like this video. Give it a thumbs up for me, please. I love y'all more than y'all could ever know, and I appreciate y'all more than you could ever know. This is a crazy case to me, and I wanna know so far what y'all think down in the comments below. Please be nice, not only in the comments, but just be nice to everybody. Open a door, give a smile. You never know what somebody is going through, and a simple thank you or how's your day or smile can really make a difference in somebody's day. I hope y'all have a great weekend, and I will see y'all in tomorrow's video for part 2. Bye y'all.
Make some trouble, baby.